Alrighty guys, episode 9, we're almost there. We're back in the studio after Supernova is done and dusted. The interviews from Supernova will be around the place. Have a squeeze, there's some really interesting people we chatted to. But for now, let's get to it. So happening around Perth this month, guys, we have from the 9th to the 30th of July at the Subi Arts Centre is Good Little Soldier. Now this is an emotionally heavy piece which will explore the effects PTSD has on soldiers returning home from the war. Now it does have a PTSD trigger warning, and because it's set in Australia and because of the content of the nature, it does also have a coarse language warning. We also have Harrison Craig's Kings of Vegas The Lounge sessions on the 14th of July. That's at the State Theatre Centre. That'll be a great night. Big brass setup, big string setup, rhythms. He'll be performing all sorts of covers from the swing era of Vegas, along with some of his own creations. So, one-off night, get along to it. I was able to get some one-on-one time with Fern Nicholson, the amazing teacher of Nicholson's Academy of Screen Acting, talking about auditions, her career, her teaching, all that kind of thing. So success stories from her students. Let's have a gander. So we're joined today by Fern Nicholson. Fern's a teacher in Perth.
Yes.
And an award-winning actress. Actress. Yeah, welcome, Fern.
Thank you for inviting me.
Most welcome. Fern, tell us a bit about yourself. How did you get into entertaining, performing?
I've actually been performing since I was very, very, very young, and this was back home in London. That's where I was brought up. I think my parents sent me to a, grooming and deportment tap dancing ballet school, and it was kind of like, we'll see what we can do with this terror. So I went along, and I don't know, you know what? I think it just picked me. I don't ever remember saying to myself, this is exactly what I want to do. It was just something I was good at. So I went from there, and then I ended up at the Royal Academy and trained there for quite some time. So yeah, I did about 13 and a half years doing musicals in the West End, actually, before I got into screen. So screen was something that I actually did when I first came here to Australia. And it was very difficult because I was a single mum. It was very difficult to pursue my career. I guess it was a choice that I made, and I thought, well, I've got these 4 kids. They're the priority in my life right now. And it was very important to me that they had a really good, solid base. Yeah. And the idea of traipsing off to Sydney and Melbourne or moving state was just harrowing in my mind, and it was very difficult. I did go over to Sydney to just try my luck.
Yeah.
And I did extremely well. There's nothing that I could actually go back and do, but I did get offered a few jobs, and they were good roles. But it's very difficult at that point in your life when your agent rings you up and says, hey, Liz Mullinaars wants you over in New Zealand in a month. Yeah. And I had a few guest appearances and stuff, but I came home realising, hey, you know what? It kind of made me feel good. It was, I could do this. It was
still
great.
Got it.
Yeah, still got it. So then I came home and I started there wasn't very much going on here. We're going back a long time now. So there wasn't really very much going in terms of screen here. There was a lot of theatre.
Yep.
But I'd done so much of that I kind of went, no, it's not something I want to get back into again, although I loved it. So I started to go to different courses, but it wasn't hitting it for me. I wasn't getting taught the way I was taught, and I was taught, it was very disciplined, and there was no such thing as not learning your lines or rocking up late. We would get penalised for things like that. Yeah. And I wanted a teacher who was happy to say I wasn't any good. Yeah. I was wanting a teacher to tell me so that I could learn. Back then, we never ever sat and thought about the future. It was very much about the present. It was very much about what can I learn today that will make my future in the end, no matter what that might be. Yeah. So I concentrated a lot on looking back at what I had learned and decided, well, you know what? If I've made this decision and thought, I can't do this myself, let's take everything I've got and start to teach. Again, it was something that it just occurred. Students, actors started to come to me and said, Fern, you know, if you can't do this, why don't you share what you've learned? And that's how it started. So here I am.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history.
Wow. So what do you look for in your students, like to come in and do your courses? In an audition, what do you look for?
Hey, you know, there's lots of acting courses out there. When people want to have fun and socialise and get to know what the acting's all about, I think there's a lot of classes out there that actually, you know, offer that.
Yep.
NASA's not one of them, simply because I'm getting too old and grumpy and I don't have the patience anymore.
Yeah.
So actors actually that have been out there, and they've done a couple of workshops, they've done a few acting courses, and they've realised that, hey, you know what, I really think I'd like to get my teeth into this a little bit more. That's when they'll call NASA. Yeah. And what I look for is their attitude more than anything else.
Yeah.
I have had actors come in and say, so you're the woman that's going to make me famous.
Right.
At which point I will tell them the truth and perhaps lead them away from NASA. I'm not that kind of teacher. So for me, it's about the craft.
Yeah.
To me, it's about those people that have the same passion and like to work on the same level and want to strive. They want to reach.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid. What I like to do in terms of where my students are concerned, when I've trained students for a length of time, there are certain students obviously that stand out. And I'd like NASA now is wanting to give them an opportunity of auditioning for short films that NASA, in collaboration with other organisations, are going to start doing. Today, I want to start seeing more good stories with great performances. So keeping the stories simple, like I think all my students have heard me say. My brother's great thing was, you know, simple story, complex characters. So being able to give them an opportunity of actually start to get exposure out there. Some of those things could be, they're constantly getting filmed in the classroom, so some of those things could be really good for their show reels if they are wanting to do something like that. Or in fact, you know, if the project is good enough, then to be able to put it into different festivals, etc. So it just is an extra incentive to get them out there and applying what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a wonderful concept.
I think so.
Yeah.
I do actually have a course that's starting on the 18th of July. There are early bird discounts, etc. But the courses, the 4-week courses and courses like this 2-month one will be continuously rolling through the year. So if they do want to know anything further, then they can contact me directly or via the website and shoot us an email.
Beautiful. Look, Fern, thank you so much for coming in. It's been very informative.
Thank you.
Chat and, yeah,
thank you so much
all
for
the best in
inviting
the
me.
future. Most welcome. Good. There you have it. There we go, guys. Thanks to Fern for coming in and having a chat. For those of you interested in her courses, the links will be in the description box below. All right, for the kids, guys, we have Saltbush being produced by the Barking Gecko Theatre Company at the State Theatre Centre from the 12th to the 14th of July, which is an interactive look at the culture of Aboriginal Australia through song, dance, stories. It'll be both fun and educational. And finally, guys, St George's Anglican Grammar School are putting on a production of The Addams Family, a new musical comedy, at the State Theatre Centre from the 27th to the 29th of July. I know that's a whole school production, so it's a good opportunity to get down there and support the kids, support the school, and just have a good night out. Alrighty, guys, that's us for this week. Next week's episode is the final one for the season. Quick reminder, go and check out the interviews from Supernova. Jennifer Hale, Jesse Harnell and John Levine, all completely different but super interesting people. Thanks to the Supernova organisers for letting us in to have a chat with those guys as well. Props. And as always, info for anything mentioned today will be in links in the description box below. Look, I'll see you guys next week. I'm out. There you go, really interesting woman. Can't really remember what I said in the last one. There you go, guys. Fern, an amazing woman, very interesting woman. There'll be links below for her academy if you're interested. There you go, guys. Fern's an interesting woman. That just sounds sketchy. Like, yeah, no.